Hi, welcome to Wycliffe Library and Tween Time with Miss Lori. It is the 5th of May today, and the 5th of May is Cinco de Mayo. And Cinco de Mayo is something that we are celebrating here in the United States very happily over the last, 20 years or so. But I think that a lot of people don't know what Cinco de Mayo is. I think a lot of people, including myself, used to think that Cinco de Mayo was Mexican Independence Day. It is not. So before we get on with our Tween Time great dessert commemorating Cinco de Mayo, I want to learn a little bit today. So here we go. Cinco de Mayo is the commemoration of the Mexican Army's victory over the French in 1862. The Mexican Army was considerably smaller than the French Army, and the victory was a real morale booster for the Mexicans. Unfortunately, it was a very short time after that the French came in and squashed the Mexicans, but they did have their independence years later. Reading up on Cinco de Mayo, you will find that it is very popularly celebrated here in the United States, and not the same as how they celebrate it in Mexico. But for now, what we celebrate is the Mexican-American culture and heritage as opposed to the actual military battle. California was the first state to celebrate it, and they celebrated right away in 1863. But it spread nationwide in the 90s thanks to advertising. So you'll see a lot about tacos and a lot of the Mexican cuisine, and not so much about what Cinco de Mayo actually is about. But that's okay, because a lot of what Cinco de Mayo is about is food, because when they celebrate with food. So today we are going to make homemade fried ice cream, which is, I'm going to say a delicacy, but I really don't know. Sounds like a nice word to use. We're going to make fried ice cream, super simple. We will include the recipe with this video so you can make it at home and celebrate Cinco de Mayo or any day of the week. First step after you gather all of your ingredients is probably the funnest step of all, and that is you take your cornflakes and a gallon-sized bag, and you pour half of your box of cornflakes into your bag. Now, if you have a food processor, you could do that, but it's not nearly as fun as doing what I'm going to do with this spoon. So I actually have already started it, so we can move on to the next step. But you want to pour it in there, and you want to whack the crud out of the cornflakes. So just start whacking them loud and crazy. You want to get them to teeny tiny little crumbs. So after you whack it a bit, you might just want to squish it if you see that there's some that are a little bit big. Just squish them so they get real tiny and very crumbly. After you're done doing that, you'll see that it's nice and crumbly, and I guess there's holes in the bag. So what we're going to do is going to dump it into a large bowl. All right, so it is now crushed and ready in a large bowl, if you can see. I have melted butter in the microwave. Again, this is all on the recipe. And I'm going to pour this into my crushed cornflake crumbs. Stir that around a bit so that it gets all on all of the cornflakes. Again, this is a really big bowl, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but I'm going to set it down here like that. So I've incorporated the butter into the cornflakes, which would be yummy enough, I think, but we're going to make it doubly yummy by adding cinnamon and sugar, which I've already pre-measured in this bowl. So we're going to shake all that in and stir it up. And this is going to be your fried ice cream topping. So I'm mixing it around, again, getting it incorporated. And the butter is what's helping to make it stick to the cornflakes. Mix it all up. And now at home, with the help of an older sibling or a parent, grandparent, whoever might be around, certainly ask permission before you do this, before using an oven. I would do this at home, but right now my kitchen's being redone, so I don't have an oven to do it. So we're gonna do it here at the library and use a toaster oven. So what you'll do is you'll take a tray and pour it, I'm not gonna pour all of this on here because this is what you would use on a big tray in an oven. So I'm just gonna get it and spread it out in a thin layer on this tray, as thin as possible. I should probably have gloves on so I could spread it with my hands, so I'm spreading it as thin as possible all over your tray, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the oven for a short amount of time and get it all nice and golden and crispy. We want it even more crispy than it is right now. All right, so I'm going to slide it in the oven, and then I will be back because I don't think you want to sit and watch it get golden in an oven. So we'll put that in there, we'll let it cook, and when I come back, we'll move on to the next steps. There we go. We'll wait a few minutes and be right back. Okay, we are ready to take this out of the oven. You'll see how it's gotten nice and toasty brown. It's hot. This is why you need to have someone with you, especially if you're nervous about taking things out of the oven. So that is nice and smoky. You can see around the edges that it's gotten dark. Oh, that's going to be so good. It smells so good. So that's done. It's going to cool off. We're going to keep it in the tray like that because we're going to roll our ice cream in it. So let's just keep it real nice and flat. Next step is coming up. All right, so after you've taken your crispy cornflakes out of the oven and you are smelling their deliciousness, take your ice cream, and again, this is going to be totally up to you. Get yourself a decent sized scoop. You can have big scoops or little scoops. I'm thinking this is a medium scoop. Scoop, scoop, scoop your ice cream. And it does not have to be in a ball right now. Right now, we're just scooping it. Put it on a tray with some wax paper. Try to get them all uniform so you don't have fights over whose is a bigger dessert. So you just scoop away on your tray. And then what you're going to do after you fill your tray up is you're going to put these back in the freezer so that they get super duper hard. You don't want this to be soft because you're going to be manipulating it with your hands, which again, of course, I did wash my hands before this, so please know that my hands are clean as I'm pushing this ice cream onto the tray. So there I've got my scoops. I'm going to put this in the freezer and wait about a half an hour so that they get super duper hard. I will also put the other ice cream back in the freezer so that doesn't get super duper soft, and then we'll be back for the finishing touches. Okay, so now here we are at the final step. These have been in the freezer a little while. I want you to know that you can keep it in much longer than I did. I just want to finish this up so that you guys know how to make these fantastic things. You're going to roll it almost like you do a snowball. Plop it in your cornflakes, your yummy cornflakes. You can either do this or roll it however you want to get these cornflakes all over your ball of vanilla ice cream. So there is one completed, actually two completed since I've done another one. And what I've done with the previous one is I've added a little bit of chocolate syrup and some sprinkles. You can use butterscotch, you can use hot fudge, you can use strawberry, you can use whatever toppings you like, including some whipped cream and a cherry, to have yourself a fabulous fiesta for Cinco de Mayo. Thanks for joining.